Hi, I'm Tony Russo, the host of Funeral Service Insider, the podcast, with a bonus episode for you this week. This November, Kates-Boylston is sponsoring the Advances in Funeral Innovations Conference, November 12th and 13th in Houston, Texas. As part of the promotional effort for this, we're running some bonus episodes where we speak with some of the presenters for a little taste of what they'll be giving out at the conference. So I think this is an episode worth listening to. We're speaking with Greg Norris. He's a regional director at Homesteaders Life Company, and he'll be presenting Motivators for Preneed Planning, Insights, and Strategies. And as you may or may not know, Homesteaders puts out not an annual, but regularly puts out a Preneed Motivators report. It's a study that they put out from a survey that they conduct among their subscribers. So they have lots of really cool information. There's lots of great stuff he's going to share with you over the next 10 minutes or so. But if you want the whole thing, please join us in Houston on November 12th and 13th. If you would like to come and get $50 off, then when you register, just use the promo code FSI Podcast. That is all caps, all one word, FSIPODCAST. And you can find the link in the show notes. Go to Kates-Boylston.com, register, go to the event. We will see you in Houston. But right now, let's talk to Greg. You'll be with us in Houston to give a talk called Preneed Motivators, Discover What Motivates Consumers to Make Advanced Funeral Plans. And what I'd like to kind of talk to you about today to kind of get people ready for it is, how do you find the motivators? What did you do to kind of discover the motivators, and how can people use them as part of their practice?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Just to give you a little bit of a background on this is a study that we do approximately every 2 to 3 years. And so the Preneed Motivators that we have right now is actually our 7th edition report that we have put out. We started this back, I believe it was in 2006. And like I said, we update it every few years. And so when we did this latest edition, we started in 2023 between May and June 15th, I think is what it is. It was about a 6-week period of time where we sent a survey to all of our new policy owners. We sent out approximately 14,000 emails to our customers, and we had almost 900 respondents. And so it represented about a 6% response rate, which is really good. And so that is what this whole study is based on, are the respondents of current policy owners that purchased policies in 2023.
That's fantastic. How did COVID affect the difference between new policy owners in, let's say, 2019 and new policy owners in 2023? Are more people thinking about making plans now, like in the wake of COVID?
I think COVID really did awaken the idea with people that they have to face their own mortality. COVID really emphasized that, we really don't know what tomorrow holds. And so many people, I think, through the years had been thinking about it, maybe didn't do it, but COVID really motivated them to do so. And so starting towards the end of 2020, all through 2021, were really record times of people taking care of their arrangements, just because, as I said, I think they were really reminded of their mortality. And so that has been a big motivator. As we may talk a little bit later and people will hear in this presentation, one of the things that the biggest reasons that people do this is because they've recently had a family member pass away. Almost 25% of the respondents in our survey indicated that was their reason for doing this. And so COVID was really a big reminder because of the deaths that families had incurred. And it was a reminder that they needed to do something for themselves.
And when people are thinking about making these decisions, what do you think keeps them from? Why do you guys have to keep making the phone calls? Like, what's the bar for people to do this on their own?
One of the biggest things that holds people back is just that they don't know how to begin the process. Approximately 27% of the respondents, that was their number one reason for not having started this on their own, as you say. They just didn't know how to get started. Just a little humor, I guess. There's none of us that wake up in the morning and over coffee and donuts look at each other and say, hey, honey, let's go by our funeral today. It's beautiful outside. I can't think of a better way to spend our time. And sometimes they just need that little bit of a nudge. They've been thinking about it. They know they need to do it. They just don't quite know how to do it. But if someone calls them or approaches them just at the right time, then it gives them that nudge they need to go ahead and get these arrangements started.
How do you think maybe one or two ways people have changed the way they expect to be approached, and how can you accommodate new expectations for being approached about pre-need?
There are so many different ways of approaching someone about pre-need. Oftentimes someone is seen at the grocery store and they'll come up to you and they'll say, you know what, I know that you work at the funeral home and we've been needing to come and see you for so long and we just haven't done that. And sometimes we say, you know what, just come see me whenever is convenient for you. However, if we can just do some simple little things differently, and instead of saying something like that that's very open-ended, but instead pull out our business card and do what they would do at the doctor's office and say, you know what, I've got some time tomorrow afternoon at 2:00, or how about Friday morning at 10? And offer them a couple of times, set the appointment right there and give them that appointment card and off you go. It can be something as simple as that. But aside from that, there are all kinds of ways to reach your community. Aftercare is such a large part of a great pre-need program. As I said, the number one reason that people choose to do a pre-arrangement is because they've had a family member or a friend pass away. So they've just experienced a death. And so if you've got an active aftercare program, that can really be beneficial in following up with that family, making sure their needs are taken care of, but at the same time, through the process, be able to talk about their own arrangements. Something else that we see as far as approach is when you can do some nice things for the community. And those can include things like lunch and learns. I've heard of different events like movie events. And coming up quickly here this time of year, we also have the Day of the Dead celebrations. And those are just some different things that funeral homes can do to reach out to their communities and educate them about funeral prearrangement. Social media, of course, is another great avenue to use to help reach out to families and give them information they need to get them started on this in this process.
It's interesting that you brought up the Day of the Dead, and if I can be a little too self-referential, I just had a story came out. I discovered that there's this thing called Plan a Great Funeral Day. Okay. On October 30th that I had never heard of. And so now I'm kind of trying to spread the word about that, because that one I think has fallen off of people's radars. But I spoke with the woman who founded it, and she doesn't really promote it herself, which is one of the reasons it's kind of fallen by the wayside. But it creates like a Halloween weekend of an opportunity to start to think about it.
It does, yes.
And when we're out in Houston, what do you think you're looking the most forward to from the attendees? Like, what do you think the attendees will thank you for as far as like their takeaway?
The three key takeaways that they will have is, number one, understand the primary motivators that's driving their consumers to prearrange funeral services. I think the second thing would be discovering the demographic trends and their implications for their marketing and outreach strategies. And then the third thing would be to gain practical tools and recommendations to strengthen relationships and grow their pre-need business. So those would be the key takeaways that people should have after listening to the Preneed Motivators.
Fantastic. And that's really kind of all I have for you, unless you have something else for me. Is there something I should have asked you and I didn't, or something that you thought you'd get the opportunity to say, but I didn't provide it?
I don't think so. I think we did a good job covering it so far, and I look forward to seeing everyone in Houston.
Excellent. Well, we will see you in Houston.
Sounds great.
This bonus episode of FSI the Podcast has been a Kates-Boylston production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo. Once again, if you missed the discount code, it is FSI Podcast, all one word, all caps, FSI Podcast. Please subscribe to the show. We have an episode coming out every other Monday, and every Friday, or almost every Friday, we have a short episode like this that is a rundown of the week's news in funeral service and the occasional promotional bonus show. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can find my contact info in the show notes. And that'll do it for this bonus episode. Thanks so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you in Houston.